Okay, welcome to the June preservation meeting for Community Board 7. If you are joined on the Zoom and you're in person, if you could just make sure you're muted and turn your audio off. We have 5 applications, 650 West End Avenue, 49 West 88th, 21 West 70. Well, actually, let me take it back. We have 650 West End Avenue, 49 West 88th. Do we have anyone from 21 West 75th? Great. 51 West 71st? Great. And 53 West 68th? Wow, everyone is on person on this hot day after we were up late last night watching the sports game.
Yes.
I promise we will not have as exciting a fourth quarter.
But we won.
We did win. 2 quick notes. One, we do not have a quorum right now. What that means is we will not be able to pass a resolution. However, that's okay. We will talk about it. Jay and I will write our thoughts down, and those thoughts will be transmitted to LPC after we meet next week with the full board, but it will not be a full thing. It's okay. This is not ULURP. There's no requirement to have a resolution or anything. You're fine, and we will hear from the public. The way this is going to work is when it is your turn to present, you will join the meeting on Zoom with your device. We will promote you to panelist. You will share your screen to share your slides with the folks in the room as well as on Zoom. We'll ask you to go through your presentation. We will have the committee ask any questions. We will then ask folks on Zoom and in the room from the public if they have any comments or questions. I don't think this will be an issue, but if there are a lot of people, we will ask that they limit their time potentially. You will have an opportunity to respond to those comments or questions, and then Jay and I will have our discussion. We'll look at the draft resolutions, and then we will move on. Yes, questions?
We are not connected to the internet. Is there a secret handshake?
I put the email, I put it in the I put the email and password in an email I sent to everyone. So if at some point you come over here.
I'll show it to them. I have it on my phone.
Yeah, it's a little confusing. It's CB7net and then it's Upper West Side, but spelled funny. So appreciate that.
Can I ask one?
Yeah,
Is someone, because I know people are signing in on Zoom, is someone signing in for 49 West 88th Street
is there someone on Zoom from 49 West,
from Anderson?
from Anderson Windows? If you could raise your hands if you're on Zoom. Do you know what their name is?
Dario or Lindsay?
There's Lindsay Stesney. That one. Okay.
But they said they submitted the specs and the photos. Like I'm there, it's my building, but they were supposed to.
Why don't we, we'll start with the first applicant, and then when we come to you, we will figure it out. Okay, so I will make a motion to adopt the agenda. We accept it between Jay Smile and me, and we will move to 650 West End Avenue. So you can just introduce yourself, and then go through your presentation, and we will try to be expeditious given the number of applicants we have. So over to you guys.
I'm Oswald Bertolini, and this is Chenier Torres. We're from Bertolini Architectural Works. We're here representing the building at 650 West End Avenue. And we have filed a master plan with the Landmarks Preservation Commission. We're going back to the original windows. So it's relatively simple, except that there's some very large openings that the masonry opening will like to have 2 windows in there instead of 1. And Chenier will go into all the details, and we think that we have a nice case and the building's gonna be great with that.
All right, good evening, everybody. So again, I'm Chenier Torres. I'm with Bertolini Architectural Works, and our building is located at at the Riverside West End Historic District. These are some of the photos of the existing building. It currently has the windows, and they are planted in an off-white window. Aluminum. And on the south elevation, there's one row of windows that doesn't have the historic fabric to it, but we intend to bring it back. Okay, these are some of the angles, elevations of the building. It basically shows, and we'll get into more details about this elevation, which is basically the most important elevation that we'll be talking about, because we are bringing, like Oswald said, the historic fabric to match exactly what it was originally. On this elevation, we can see that these are historic photos on the right-hand side, which are in, I would have to say, black painted wood. And then we did some probing, which are the photos to the left, which again, they show that they're wood and they're painted in black. We are currently working with Jablonski Preservation Buildings for paint analysis. Once we get the results, we will share them with Landmarks, and we'll update our drawings. But we are calling initially for a black paint.
We're pretty sure, because these are retrofit aluminum windows, so once we pop them out, you can see the original window that is painted black.
The next slides are just more technical drawings showing the primary elevations, secondary elevations, some of the typical window elevations with the existing and proposed, which again, they all match, sections, details. And then this elevation is pretty much the reason we're doing this presentation. These two elevations are off the north. The one on the left is the historic elevation, and the one on the right is the proposed and current elevation. You can see here that windows types D and F are large windows. Let's see if I can zoom.
You basically have a huge masonry opening. And originally, there were huge shallow heights. And this is not very practical. So the residents of the building, they're not happy with that. They're used to having two windows about 3 feet each, and that's what they like to have. And that's what we're filing, and we're going to a public hearing, because everything else is kind of the way it was.
Right.
So that's the gist of the issue.
Yeah.
If you can see on the right, they're fairly wide. One of them is like 5.5 feet, the other one is slightly over 6 feet. And then there's a number of technical issues that's not ideal. In addition to the people not being too happy with them, they become cumbersome, heavy to operate. And they're so wide and so heavy that the manufacturers cannot provide a tilt in, and you cannot clean the glass. So nobody wants to find someone on the outside, like in the old days, to wipe your window glasses and basically, so this is the whole reason for doing this. If you can go into the details with more close-ups.
Right, we go, yeah. So right here, we can say, like Oswald said, they're very heavy. They're called monumental sashes. They're going to be very heavy to operate. Besides that, you're gonna need specific ergonomics, because the handles are like farther apart. It is likely that the most vulnerable people in the building will have to have assistance by the building staff to operate them. This window right here is what we like to think is it's a key window, because this sets a little bit of precedence in the building. This is a historic window, and you can see it. Let me go back to this one right here. This is that window type C. It's a similar opening to the ones that we have been talking about, but we have a paired set of windows within that opening.
Yeah,
Okay,
the configuration has a post down the middle, and there are 2 rooms behind it, so that's clearly original. It's like that top to bottom in the
Yeah.
building.
and if you look at this elevation right here, you can see that the facade feels a little bit more harmonious with the
Yeah.
double window. Which is a little bit. We did a little bit of, research, with the original architect, who was, Schwartz and Ross. And the majority of their buildings, they typically like to deal with, square openings, window openings. And have a pair of set of windows in those. It was the case in every single one of them that we searched. And lastly, within the district, we did the same study, and the majority of the windows that, have dimensions similar to the ones that we have been discussing, the window treatment was the same. They had a pair of windows within those square looking openings. And that's pretty much that. We looked at, moving forward for, your recommendation for approval. This makes sense, in an aesthetic and performance of the building, and also, usage of the residents of the building.
Thank you.
How old is the building?
Building is built in 1917, so it's 100 years plus.
So it's just adding a mullion on that.
Correct.
Okay, perfect. Anyone in the room, do you have any other questions? Anyone in the room have questions? If you have questions on line, or want to make a comment, if you could raise your hand. Okay. Linda, if you can unmute yourself, you should be able to talk.
I just have one question, and it's a practical question. Are the windows going to be installed from the interior of the building or from the exterior? And will that require scaffolding?
We have not did the project. In general, the window installations are done from the interior of the building. And in some cases, if we're doing a lot, the contractors, sometimes they prefer to have a sidewalk shed, but not pipe scaffolding. Sidewalk shed is in case something collapses during the removal process. But that will be decided down the line. In principle, because this is a master plan and the apartments will be done 1 or 2 or 3 at a time. It's not a massive project, and it's unlikely that we will put a sidewalk bridge, and it's impossible to think of pipe scaffold. I don't know which way your question was going, but the answer is probably no.
No,
Just,
okay. I appreciate that. Thank you so much.
Well,
anyone else? Okay. Excellent. All right, I will share our resolution. And we can discuss it. I will say I did not take Mary's class in grad school, so, I can't, but I hear good things, so. Okay, I will also say that I grew up in a building that did have the
giant.
giant windows. Actually, in one of your slides, you can see the building in the back.
Look at that.
I think my parents liked it because as a kid, obviously I could not open the window because it was so heavy. This is our resolution. The proposed windows are similar in appearance to the historic and existing fenestration. That work for you, Jay?
Yeah. I mean, I think technically we can still propose the resolution
At full board? Okay,
Yeah, we can,
so,
so we will.
okay, excellent.
Thank you.
All right, so, well, we won't take a vote because we can't, because we don't have a quorum. Although technically, if none of us, okay. Great, okay. Excellent. Thank you so much. We are meeting
Good
next,
to meet you.
yeah, we're meeting next week. So at the end of next week, we will forward on either a resolution to LPC, or we will send along that you came, we were supportive, we couldn't take a vote.
Thank you, Christina. We'll chase
Thank
you
you so
for that
much.
resolution.
Yeah.
Thank you, guys. Oh, I mean.
Okay, excellent. So is there anyone on Zoom for 49 West 88th Street?
RBA or, Love O, they're supposed to have sent all the
Love
specs
O.
and photos ahead.
If not, I mean, I assume you're the homeowner?
Yeah.
Okay.
From my mother, who's the owner, but she's 89.
Yeah, in general, we don't do this, but I think I have the slides here, so we will make an exception.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Okay.
I thought they would be here.
Let's see the address.
49 West 88. One last call. If you're for 49 West 88, please raise your hand on Zoom. Okay. Great. I will share this down. Do you want to speak to it or were they planning
I
to
can,
speak?
as soon
Okay.
as, you show photos, I can explain. So, yeah, so it's a brownstone building that my mother owns that we live in as well. And it's the second floor that's for her, a balcony door, even though traditionally many of the buildings, it's the entryway, the original entryway into the building. But my parents in the sixties, when they bought it, it became the second floor of my mother's apartment. So it's the balcony door. It's not the actual entry to the building. But it's just above the entry door.
Yeah, so this is it in the 1940s with a stoop
Oh, I guess they have,
and this is it.
yeah, they have the before and after.
Yeah, I asked them that.
Exactly. Oh, great. So, yeah, so that's it. That's you can see the black door, that's the entrance to the building there, and just above, and you can see it's partially obstructed because there's a little like balcony colonnade or whatever. And we just want to replace that black door with the little window panes. Those are photos from the inside that I took. The one on the left is from the inside of her living room looking out. And then all the way on the right, if I just sent some photos to show, she has 4 locks from the bottom, 2 in the middle and the top, just to keep it closed because it's over 60 years old and it's falling apart. So we don't even like to open it anymore because we're afraid we won't be able to close it. And that's another picture from closer on from outside. And so what we want to do, so what Anderson is proposing to do is to replace the door very close to the design. And it would be much more secure. It would be weatherproof. The other issue, I was told, because I couldn't find out what the problem was, why they couldn't pass it. They said it has to be, or they preferred it to be 100% wood. From what I understand, the material is partially wood. It's like a mix of materials. And they've redesigned the door so that it looks as close to what we have now, even though it's not an original door that we're replacing. And the reason I wanted to show in those earlier photos what the door actually looks like now is it's painted in this very thick black paint to protect the wood. Because at the bottom, it's molding, it's falling apart. It's old, and from all the weather, rain, snow, humidity, sleet, ice, I think it's actually going to be better because it will hold up to the weather. And I don't want to spend thousands of dollars, which it's going to cost, to have to replace too early a wood door, old wood door that's going to rot from the bottom. So that's it, and it's just a balcony door.
Do you have any questions?
The balcony, how deep is it?
Oh, maybe like 24 inches, 30 inches deep from the inside to the out. And then there's like a thick, I don't know, cement kind of thing
Balustrade.
around the outside. What's that?
Balustrade.
Baluster, thank you, the official word.
Is it actually used?
No, we don't really go on there. And like I said, I would like my mother to even be able to open it and enjoy it. But because of, and also you see all those pigeon spikes on the top? What you can't see in this shot is on the bottom, the pigeons have been nesting in there. And we haven't been able since October, when we started this proposal, to get someone professionally to come in to put permanent something there or something on wood or whatever, because the door is going to be at some point replaced, and we don't want them to, when they take everything out, then we have to take back the pigeons. It's a nightmare, but that's a whole other thing that we can't even get to because
We don't
we're
do
waiting for the
Yeah.
door to be replaced.
Anyone online have any questions? If so, or comments, please raise your hand. Okay. Seeing none.
I'm good.
Yeah. We have it's a lot of screen sharing back. This is gonna be the fastest meeting ever, Jay. We're gonna Okay, fair enough. Okay, 49 West 88th Street. The current balcony door configuration is not original to the building. The proposed replacement door is appropriate to the district. This works for me.
Yep.
This works for you. I'll learn how to spell district correctly. Okay. Okay, excellent. Thank you so
So
much.
yeah, we'll raise it.
Yeah,
I mean, fortunately for all of you guys, we are having an extra June meeting. Of course, we can have
June or July?
June.
June,
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. Oh,
June.
great.
yeah.
Yeah,
Because I was told the hearing would be July 21st. Is that?
I think your LPC here
Maybe
will be
your
July
LPC.
21st. Is that a Tuesday?
There's so many.
Yeah.
Well,
23rd? I don't know. But we will, you talk to your people at LPC, as long as it's not next week, you're fine to get calendared.
As long as what's happening.
As long as you don't go before LPC next week, next Tuesday.
You mean go ahead with the door?
Yeah,
Oh, no, we're waiting until it's.
yeah.
Oh, it's approved.
No, I know. I'm saying you can go before LPC anytime, as long as it is not next week. So wait, don't go next week,
What
anytime after.
we did, Adam is saying, is wait, our extra June meeting is the 18th.
Okay,
So anytime after
Anytime after.
after the 18th, and we will present it to the full board
okay.
with a statement that we reviewed it.
Yeah,
And
Oh,
we think
because
it's
not
fine.
everyone's here?
we don't
Yeah.
have a quorum. It's a little, we will work it out. It will
Oh,
not be an
okay.
issue.
So you're having
we'll-
another meeting when you have more people?
Yeah,
A full
essentially,
board.
yeah.
Got it.
Okay. 21 West
Thank you.
75th Street.
Thank you for showing. up.
If you could come, what's your name? Let me promote you to panelist. It should pop up now. No, don't, we can hear you through these speakers, so don't do anything, but just share your screen and your slides, and, you can begin your presentation.
This is 21 West 75th Street. Here's the 1940s historic tax photo of the building. This is the location in the Upper West Side Central Park West Historic District. Here's a context photo of the block. Sorry, just a little bit of a lag. The proposed project is a two-story horizontal extension of the existing building. We're proposing to enlarge the portion that's over the existing extension. The first floor would be built in kind with the existing extension, matching the painted brick, replicating the locations of the windows on the lower floors, as well as recreating the historic sills and lintels of those windows. The upper floor of the extension would be a more modern glass and steel enclosure. And it would be set back from the full width of the extension. And it's also, there's a specific detail where it connects to the existing building to preserve the upper cornice of the existing building, which I'll show here. So here's a rendering of the proposed extension. Again, the lower floor is very much in kind with the existing extension. And the upper floor is glass and steel enclosure. And the top of the upper portion of the extension has a green roof, which is required by local. You can see on the upper right hand corner, the brick cornice of the existing building is being maintained. And, there is a glass spandrel piece, located here that would, connect above the historic, masonry openings that would be reversible in case, somebody wanted to remove that, the upper extension. And the punched openings on the upper floor of the existing buildings are remaining as well, so those can be restored as well. Here's the existing and proposed section of the enlargement. One thing just to note here, it's completely not visible from the street. Here's the proposed rear elevation. Again, in the large section, you can see that little spandrel glass piece at the upper portion of the extension that just touches the existing building delicately. Here's a block plan of the block. You can see here, many buildings on this block have extensions of different depths and heights and sizes. And particularly, what I want to point out here is that we're right adjacent to a large tenement building that really shields us from visibility from inside the building to other neighbors. Here again is that aerial photo. You can see the different extensions throughout the block. Two buildings I'd like to point out are 20 West 76th and 24 West 76th Street. They both have similar partial extensions like our building, and they both have that extension going to the main height of the building. So there is precedent on the block for an enlargement of this kind. It's actually directly behind our building. Here again is a different vantage point of the same block. You can see those two buildings that I pointed out with the white arrows. They have the full height rear extensions to the roof. You can see also the large tenement building to the east of us that essentially shields us from sight lines in the donut. Here, just some views in the donut. See again, completely not visible from the street. And again, on the bottom left-hand side, you can see those two buildings with the full height extensions directly across the courtyard from the city. In terms of precedence with buildings like this, this is a project that was recently approved with a full height extension to the big roof. It's close to these existing elevations of that project. Another project here with a one-story extension that was recently approved. Section. That's a presentation. Thank you.
Any questions?
Have you discussed this at LPC?
We have, yeah, and I think they've been generally supportive. We received not that much feedback in terms of this presentation.
But they're okay with the full height of the extension?
They're obviously, they can't say yes or no, but I think that they've been supportive and they particularly like the way we're attaching to the existing building at the top floor. I think what they really are concerned about is that brick cornice detail at the roof level, which we're maintaining. And also with that glass transom piece, we're really going to be connecting lightly to the existing building, just connecting it through existing mortar joints and keeping the masonry openings at the top floor as well. So again, this is a reversible installation if in the future somebody would like to reverse this.
I could be mistaken, but I'm surprised that LPC,
I think it's because there's already an existing one and it's not full width.
yeah, it's not full width.
Yeah,
And what's the proposed use of that glass enclosed?
It's a living room for the existing owner. This is a condo building, so the owner would like to stay in place and as a growing family, they'd like to enlarge the apartment for their needs, for their space needs.
yeah, I'm just surprised that LPC hasn't
Well, I mean,
expressed some reservations about a full, I wonder if the other full height extensions predate
well, I think it's more,
designation.
it's not full height all the way. The top is set back. It's not full width.
Yeah,
And it's just extending. yeah.
honestly, I don't really object to it.
Yeah.
I'm just
Well,
surprised.
We'll find out.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
anyone in the room have comments? No? Anyone on Zoom, if you have comments on this, if you could raise your hand? Okay, okay. All right, Leslie, you're unmuted. If you unmute yourself, you'll be able to provide comment or ask any questions.
Okay, my name is Leslie Guichard. I am one of the owners of the building. I represent Unit 3. I am Vice President of the condominium board, but I am not representing the board today. 21 West 75th Street is a multiple dwelling condominium building with 3 residential units directly below the proposed 2-story addition. The zoning may allow for an addition, I do not know, but the condominium bylaws do not allow for construction on its rooftops, and it specifies weight load limits. The project is for a 3rd and 4th story addition directly above the unit 3, well, all unit owners' bedrooms. Unit 3's bedrooms would be without a roof for a minimum of 10 to 12 months, a lack of basic shelter. This would not be a minor inconvenience, it would be a major disruption of life in our home. The project has not been reviewed or approved by the condo board. In fact, these documents were shared with board members just yesterday afternoon. The condominium bylaws require all renovation project proposals to be submitted to the board with full engineering and tenant protection plans on record before applying for permits with the Landmarks Commission or the Department of Buildings. These are design concept plans only. No engineering plans or TTP have been submitted for the building's architect to review. I would like
Thank
to screen share very quickly to give you an idea of what this would look like.
In general, only applicants are allowed to share screen.
I was going to show how the limit of sky, the view of the sky, and the limitations of light and the shadows that it would cast.
You're welcome to submit that to
Okay.
The preservation email address, and we can distribute that ahead of the meeting next week.
Thank you.
Anyone else online would like to speak? Okay. Leslie, I appreciate your commentary and comments and concerns with this project. The role of this committee is to determine if something is appropriate to the historic district. We obviously don't have anything to do with condo bylaws or anything like that. So appreciate what you raised, but it is not relevant to the discussion that Jay and I are going to have. So Jay, I will share the draft resolution and we can take a look. Okay, I said it's located on the Upper West Side Historic District and the addition is not visible from Emily Public Thoroughfare. Anything else you would want to add?
Well, I do have a question on the construction. Is that true that they would be without?
No, I don't think so. I think we would work.
I mean, it really can't be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
As
We would work in a way that would not expose any apartment to the elements. Like we would build the exterior enclosure first and then whatever structural. Yeah, we would not leave them that.
I don't think your TPT would allow you, your tenant protection plan, would allow you to, get away
yeah,
with that.
and obviously Adam is right. If the condo rules prohibited.
then that's a condo thing, but
Then
you don't have to respond,
No.
totally, I know you're just the architect or whatever, but
Yeah,
anyway,
right.
okay,
That's just work for lawyers.
so this works for you?
I'm gonna reserve, since I don't have to vote,
Okay, great, so we'll put this forward,
but we'll put it before the board.
okay,
I mean,
as it is here,
yeah,
okay, excellent. Okay, thank you. All right. I was surprised that the person who lives in the neighboring building and is gonna lose the lot line window didn't say anything. But that is how it goes. 51 West 71st Street. The danger of adding a lot line window, you don't get to keep it. What's your name? Sorry.
Dimitri?
Okay, I'm gonna promote you to panelist.
what's the address?
51
51
West
West
71st.
Actually.
Introduce yourself and yeah.
Great. Good evening, everybody. Thank you for taking the time to view our presentation. Talking about 51 West 71st Street today. I'm the architect. My name is Dmitry Polyakov. I represent VP Architects. Been working on this project for a year. We've spent quite a bit of time learning the neighborhood, researching the block, meeting the neighbors, in fact, that have been wonderful people. My client is a lovely couple who immigrated to New York 6 years ago. They found it to be an incredible home. They then got pregnant, and at the time they got pregnant, they purchased this home. They've now had their baby. They have a growing need to have family that visits from overseas. And so they're turning this multifamily home into a single family that they want to keep, for their entire lives. As such, they engaged me early last year, about 12 months ago, and so we started to research the block, research the context of the property here, and develop a plan that could give them a little bit more square footage in a very appropriate way. This is the back, and what you'll find is that both 49, our neighbor to the east, and 53, our neighbor to the west, already have enlargements. And this particular property has a rear extension as well, and at the time that the rear extension was done, for whatever reason, they kept it half. And they also added a porch in the rear. What we're looking to do now is primarily a roof enlargement and a rear enlargement that mimics the neighbors. So, as I pull through the slides here, we're within the Central Park West Historic District. We're between two row houses of neo-Gothic style. And the block has a lot of precedent from much larger buildings. In fact, I've actually never seen a donut and we'll see it on the later slide, but I've never seen a donut with this many 20 or 30-story buildings. Primarily, that's along Central Park, but it spills over into the block. 4 doors down, we have an old hotel building there along our same front primary facade. But so I'll spill into that. First, the two neighbors. So 53 on our west side, that's a recently renovated townhouse that has a rooftop and a rear enlargement that was approved. In both cases, both the rear and the roof enlargement are larger than ours. We've done a very intentional job of aligning with their sightlines. On the right side, 49 West 71st, that's a multifamily building that is continuing to be occupied by multiple tenants. It's a co-op. And they have a rear extension that predates the co-op. So this is a historic photo, and you'll see that largely the facade remains unchanged, and we intend to keep it that way. Our view on all of the facades is preserve, maintain, and make sure that it can withstand the next 100 years. This is a 1980 tax photo, and again, there's been work done to this facade, but largely we're not changing anything on the front here. So our goal is actually to restore and go back as close to this image as possible. We've in conversations with our landmarks committee representative, we've identified that we'd like to keep the 2 front windows on the parlor level. So they're currently in fairly bad shape, broken glass, broken hardware. Bits and pieces of them have been replaced by incorrect and incompatible hardware that doesn't allow them to close. Our intention is to restore them. That's going to be reviewed at a staff level. We're here primarily today to just talk about the two enlargements, so let's get forward. This is the block context. And the old historic maps just showing the building before any extension was added to it, as along with both neighbors, and then how those two extensions came about to be sort of at the lower image of similar time, right? Both 51, 49, and 53 were enlarged. So this is an aerial shot of the front facade before we did the mock-up. You can see the neighbor over to the west already has their extension done on the roof, and they built a parapet wall there that's higher than their enlargement. This is the view from the other side and sort of a different angle of their glass enclosure. This next photo here is an aerial shot from the rear. Once the volume of our mock-up has been erected, see the orange netting that defines both the enclosure, which aligns with our neighbor, as well as the proposed utility guardrail along the perimeter. We've done that to show the highest point of any construction. None of that is going to be visible from the street. We've intentionally pushed it off of the front facade over 18 feet to make sure that it's not visible over our tall cornice. And we're not going to be using the south-facing deck all the way up to that cornice. So we're bringing our railing in 8 feet so that there's no accessibility and no effect on that cornice. So here's a close-up after we've already built our mock-up, but of the rear. So of note again is the enlargement that's done over at 53 as well as 49. We're intending to align our rear enlargement with the lesser enlargement being 53. So you notice that the image on the right, the depth of that enlargement is less than the one on the left. We're going to align with that lesser enlargement and stay at the same height. So this is a view from the backyard of the same condition now, which shows the partial width enlargement in the rear. Here's a detailed photo of the front facade, just showing that we don't actually have any scope here, but it will obviously be maintained as it is. And then here's the proposed enlargement at the roof, which will be a stucco finish that matches the current rear of the building. And then this is the existing rear elevation. Again, we have a partial width rear enlargement, which will be rebuilt to align with the neighbor. So we're effectively filling in the donut in the negative space now. The neighbor doesn't have any lot line windows, so we're not blocking any light or air to that property. They both have solid walls there. And as you can see, I mean, this has been really intentional. We've been trying to maintain those elevations, those datums with the sills and the lintels and align them. Of course, the first floor is a double height space, so that intentionally is a steel structure that is intentionally modernized. And I think, you know, we're all familiar with a lot of precedents for enlargements doing that within the district. So here is a detailed view of the existing roof plan. This is presented and intended just to make the committee aware of the flues and how they're being treated to ensure that their visibility is also minimized. So on the plan, the southwest lower left-hand corner flue, that is a flue that belongs to our client, and they are very much interested in maintaining a library that's currently on the third floor of the building. And the fireplace is integral to that. So we're going to offset that flue adjacent to the enlargement. That pulls it about 6 feet further back from the street and ensures that, as you saw in the mock-up, it's not visible from the street. And then the flue to the north that also belongs to us on that same wall on the left side, we're going to eliminate that one. It's just in really bad condition. There's no need for it. So you're going to carefully take that apart and alleviate its view from the donut. On the right side, these two flues belong to the co-op building. So the south flue, bottom right-hand corner, that flue's already been put out of order and capped. It's in really bad shape and the co-op's not using it. The north flue, the one at the top right, That one has one active flue for their boiler. It's currently about 84 inches off of both roof surfaces. So in order to comply with the code, it'd be 36 inches above our roof. We're proposing a galvanized, non-reflective finish extension on that. And that extension will extend to 36 inches above our roof. It will be screened by our enlargement, which, since the enlargement isn't visible from the street, that won't. And so this is the penthouse roof itself. We will have a separate application provided here and presented by the HVAC engineer, ABS Engineering, Alex Schwartz, who will present the detailed views of the HVAC units, but we are representing those as we know they exist, and there will be 3 units up on that roof. They will all be lower than the handrail that's required by code around that perimeter, because that's 42 inches tall. This is just a simple section of the existing building. It shows you the front facade, the rear facade, and the height of that extension as it looks transverse through the left-hand side of the building or the east side of the building. And this is the proposed new enlargement that shows both the rooftop enlargement, which is centered on the building, again intentionally so that you don't see it from the street, from the sight lines of the public throughway. And then the rear, which is effectively the same height, but gets wider along the back facade. And this is that sight line from the public throughway. We've intentionally shown that viewpoint as close as to the front facade, even though it's on private property, just showing the worst case scenario and making sure that the commission is aware that the penthouse enlargement won't be this. So this is the axonometric, just to give a little bit more insight as to how this looks volumetrically. Again, front facade, exterior view, existing on the left and proposed on the right. And this is integral, just understanding how the mock-up relates to what we're really building and why the fireplace flue is on the left there, it abuts the neighbor, why we have our railing and we're showing that, and also sort of a very clear view of the opacity of the stucco, which matches the rear facade versus where we're proposing a glazing. And the same thing for the rear, so existing on the left and proposed on the right. We will see some precedent images later in the presentation for the FDNY required access to the upper roof, being the ladder there. So all that is an appendix. I can flip through those slides, but I'd like to open it up to any questions or comments that either the committee or anybody attending may have. And again, thank you for everyone's time.
I assume the air conditioning on the roof will have sound attenuation
Right.
baffles.
They will have screening. We will ensure that they're screened acoustically and visually from any potential neighbor.
It's one of the clearest presentations of a rooftop and rear yard addition we've
And
ever had.
we didn't get to it, but I will just point out, because again, I was taken back by this, how many tall buildings are in this building?
Yeah.
I'm like, this is not an exaggeration for the committee. I've literally never seen that many, like 30+ story buildings within a single block.
If we didn't have historic preservation, it would all be tall buildings. Anyone on Zoom have any questions? If you could raise your hand. Okay. Yeah, this is very clear. I'm happy to throw up the resolution. Okay. I said that it's not visible from any public thoroughfare, which I think was the guiding thing. So I think that works for you and that works for me, and we will bring it to them next week. Thank you, and I wish everyone had I feel like the axiom, like those, like the last 2 slides you had, I'm like, that's all we need for any presentation.
We got a lot of help, and Mary Kay was instrumental,
So really, really appreciate it. Okay.
Job well done.
Fourth quarter, we're down by like 19. You guys are gonna, I'm just joking. It's a Knicks joke. Please, welcome to
Are
the
you
team.
going to tomorrow's game?
In San Antonio. Yeah, on my government employee salary, I definitely can go.
I bet it's cheaper to fly there and go to that game than yesterday.
Yeah, but then I'm in San Antonio and missing my friend's wedding. So,
We're
I
next,
understand.
yeah, you're not only next, you're last.
I didn't think we'd get out of here before 10 o'clock.
Yeah.
That's not, yes.
Let me just say, Jay and I, we know what matters. We focus on the real questions.
Yeah.
And I have a tremendous amount of work to do after I finish this, so.
I'm Chandler Pierce. This is my associate, Jim Ketting. We represent our client on 53 West 68th Street. They're a long-term resident of this building. They've lived there for over 20 years. They've raised their family there. And as soon as we get in there, we can go through it. What the plan here is that there's an extensive interior renovation to the house due to their changing living situation. And that really doesn't require a landmark issue. It's just an interior renovation. On the exterior, we are planning to build a penthouse addition on the top. It's less than 30%. It's not an extra story. We would be replacing the existing mechanical units that sit on dunnage on the front section of the roof. And replacing them with new Mitsubishi type units. And they are not visible from the street. How are we doing?
Yeah, what do we need to come up with?
And the issue that we're here for today is that we're putting an elevator into the house. And what we've done is put it on the back of the house. And it is inside the house for the first 2 stories. And then on the upper levels, it comes outside the house. And it would then be, covered in stucco. Back. You cannot see
Why, not the you on that?
in technical service here.
And the chair.
I'm motivated. I have a computer there.
You said to click on one.
So,
So the elevator is going to be in the back of the house.
It's inside the house for the first 2 floors. And then it goes outside the house.
How does that work? It's interior, so it's 2 separate elevators.
No. Because when it's inside the house, you can obviously walk in and out. When it comes outside the house, it's attached to the back of the house. And it simply is going into the rooms in the back of the house on those floors.
I just need to figure. If it's your, I don't know, computer,
Try to,
or you can use your mouse, right?
trying to visualize.
what's your password?
Or your.
It's CPP1.
I'm just gonna use that.
Yeah, it's like a back door from the house right into the building.
Yeah, I mean, it becomes part of the house at that point. It's really an extension of the build out in the rear of the house.
See that
Or
one?
just like on the previous project where they built out a couple floors and everything. It just comes up through that. We continue that with a CMU block that goes up and we're stuck with the.
I'll, let me just pull your slides up so that we're not here.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you for trying them. Or, sorry, and this is 53, right?
Yeah, 3 West End.
That's good.
Is that a good one to start on? Yeah. And the issue here is what you see from the street. On 68th Street, you see absolutely nothing because we're setting so far back on the roof itself. And where you see this addition is from Columbus Avenue, on the west side of Columbus Avenue. Because there is a 10-foot wide, one-story building. And there's 12 feet of sidewalk, that when you're on those 12 feet of sidewalk and you peer down through that little opening, you see a tiny portion of this addition. And I think if you move forward, okay, so there we're looking at existing conditions. So we go next. Okay, so there we go. So then this is showing the elevator. I'm sorry. This one shows the elevator. It starts at the garden level, goes up to the first floor, goes up to the second floor. This is all existing structure, building. If you go to the next slide, then we go up there, building this piece out. Currently, this is a terrace. The elevator sits here. The mechanical room, which is just a series of pumps, sit there. On the upper level, it's sitting right here. This addition. On the rooftop, it's sitting right here. The rooftop as this is 68th Street, same location for mechanical units, outdoor terrace, and this is our penthouse level. This is a balcony in the back into the dome. This is putting solar.
So as we proceed, I think this is not the latest version we sent you, so there may be some changes.
Oh, okay. If anything meaningful for the purpose
Well,
of,
go ahead, I'll
Okay.
flag it. There, right?
Okay. Existing. This is what's wrong. This fence doesn't exist. Mechanical sits back.
Okay.
So we're going to the next. Right. Here's that. Oh, this is real.
Yeah.
This is all.
okay, hold on, sorry.
You have to get it.
Yeah.
Don't want to share that, but we're too late now. Everyone's gonna see my emails. Uh, Here, everyone's gonna get to see everything today. Okay, we can stop sharing while I go through my email to try to find this.
How about if we promise not to look? until-
Yeah.
I think you sent it. Try sending it Tuesday night, but I think it never went through to you. We sent it yesterday, right? We resent it. Because you didn't respond, I figured, oh, that means you didn't get it.
No, that's just a function of me having too many things to do. The challenges of this being the second job. Okay, I think this is the one you want. I apologize for that.
That looks better. I
That's
think.
better. Okay.
Okay, so we were here.
There we go.
Yeah.
So, this is the mechanical units that are sitting up here. This is the penthouse addition in the back. There's no change whatsoever from that point down. In the back, this is existing. Some earlier renovation, then as there's a two-story space, there's a lot of glass right here. Windows go up. There's a large flue coming out of the kitchen, which will be removed and brought inside the house. This is the proposed addition. This stays the way it is up above. Putting in doors here, this under a separate application, and that's already been approved. And then, this is the elevator stack right here. So the elevator is inside the house, well back from this wall here, and then it comes here, it comes up to the penthouse.
So all of that above the second floor that we're looking at
Will be set
is
up.
outside.
Right,
That's correct.
for the top 3 levels.
The top, okay, now I understand.
Yeah.
Okay, so.
I'm a little slow, but I got it.
Here's the basic section of the proposed addition, sight lines coming in through, mechanical terrace. This is our penthouse level, solar panels up above. The elevator is going 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 60 feet of travel. So the elevator gets us up to the penthouse level. Photographs of, this is the chimney flag, the exhaust that will disappear. Existing back at grade, neighbor. This is our project right here. This is the roof. And here's looking on the roof towards 68th Street. And this is the guide right here. When you look on this 12 feet of sidewalk, on the west side of Columbus Avenue, when you walk through 12 feet, you see this piece right here.
That's it?
Now you walk 4 feet further north,
Next slide.
and then it looks like that,
There's 4 feet more.
right?
He's
4 feet
that
more,
piece, Right,
you'll see the next image. And then if you walk 4 feet more, it disappears.
that's that.
So,
Walk another 4 feet and you just disappear.
What is that?
Pardon me?
The
What
little
is
one,
that one-story building?
it's some taxpayer that's just
So-
left
yeah,
over.
what's
I
it?
know it's a tag, but what
It
is
says gas.
It's gas.
No idea.
It's,
Oh, it's,
It's a boutique, right?
it's a jewelry.
Jewelry, yeah.
Jewelry?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
And this is, you know,
Shot
it's
up
up and down Columbus. You can't see anything. This is our zoning. We're well within the allowable FAR for the site. The penthouse is not an issue. It's really this little piece of the elevator. The back of our building is painted white. The stucco that we go onto it, we can paint it the same. Everything gets painted up. We've talked to LPC regarding the windows, and we've made adjustments to the windows more to their liking.
Any questions? Leslie, I think you're the only one on Zoom. Do you have any questions? If so, raise your hands. Okay. You know, rules are rules, so we gotta do what we gotta do. About the fact that it's visible, you know,
That's why we're showing it.
on the summer equinox. If
Yeah.
you're looking the right
Yeah.
way
Yeah.
with the telescope. Actually, we had one come recently on Columbus Avenue where it was the same thing, and the neighbors had a terrace and they had an orange umbrella.
Uh-huh.
So it was like really hard to see the mock-up because there was a umbrella the same color, and they're like, what you're seeing is the umbrella, what you wanna see is this tiny little sliver.
There was a blue umbrella on a building. in
Maybe it
front
was
of
a
ours, and
blue
We
one.
were trying to get, we were hoping the day we took the photograph, that they'd have their umbrella.
They'd have it up,
But it
okay.
wasn't.
Well, Jay, I think we're gonna say umbrella or no umbrella, given how minimally visible this is, it's
It's
probably appropriate. So, okay, excellent.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I noticed in the previous one, between 74th and 75th, was it? Yeah, that same pattern, a little sliver on the east side of Columbus, right?
Yeah.
Allows you to see through the block.
Yeah, except that there's a building, that in ours, there's a building in the way, so it allows you to see a little bit into the block, but then there's a giant building between our property and Columbus that blocks it.
Oh,
It's the same thing, we're just not between the building and Columbus, we're
right.
past it.
Okay. Excellent. Thank you, everyone who joined on Zoom. Oh, we have one more thing we need to discuss.
Okay,
We need to have a meeting in June. Actually, let's not discuss it because it's only you and me. I'll send an email. But we need to July. We need to schedule a July meeting because we have 3 applicants so far. And for them, we just won't do a full board. We'll just tell them like, you can move forward with your just a committee recommendation.
yeah, we've done
If you
that.
want to wait until September, you can, but there's nothing in the charter or anything that requires
No,
it. So
I mean, we've always,
Yeah.
if the scheduling didn't work.
everyone is
sent
welcome to
in-
come.
Sent in committee.
Can I get the most important motion? Okay, so
Thank you.
Very good.